you want to book acting work. We hear that, and we want you to have that. But here's the thing. The industry is desperate for leaders, for human connection. And that's what it really wants, even if it doesn't feel like that. And that's how you book work.
By taking you inside the craft, the casting room, and the business, and bringing other industry experts into the conversation, we really dig in. We pull back the curtain of the industry and show you how much power you really have as an artist. By bringing your humanity to the work and the industry, you become an artistic leader, the kind of actor who books work.
Nothing excites us more than seeing you express your unique artistic voice in the work and humanize the business.
And have all the tools you need to be a championship-level working actor at this very time in an industry that needs your voice and your leadership.
Industry and artistry. This is the only place you're going to hear this.
I'm Risa.
And I'm Steve, and this is the Acting Podcast from the BGB Studio.
In our recent class, The Business of Acting, we invited guests from various pathways in the industry to talk with us. One of our guests was Josiah Akinyele, an agent at Innovative Artists. We recorded our conversation during class and want to share it with you right here on the Acting Podcast. Josiah is one of the hardest working agents in show business. He loves his clients. He knows every current and future show and every upcoming film in depth, and he fiercely advocates for actors. He has a clear point of view of the industry from which to discuss the agent-client relationship, starting with his own unique journey, a challenging upbringing in both Africa and the United States, and working at Banana Republic, when he discovered his path and passion to become a Hollywood agent, a job he loves. He knows what he needs from his clients and potential clients, why the industry is more competitive now than ever, and what he believes are the best ways to be seen and find success in our business. It's an insightful and surprising conversation, and it reminds us that we are all in this together. Thank you so much for doing this. I know that you had to give up concert tickets, but I appreciate it.
Okay.
So I've asked these guys to come up with some questions, but first I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we'll just talk. And this is just about us having a chat and being in the room together and just remembering that we're all, human in this. Yeah. One of the things I know about you and love about you is that you, A, have heart, B, you work harder than anybody else in show business. You were telling me once, this is great, he was telling me that we were talking and it was like 10 o'clock at night, and you said, and so I may be paraphrasing, but you said, I'm sitting here watching, I watch shows and write down everybody who's in the show and everybody and every part of every role, so I get to really understand the show deeply, and I study the work. And I thought that was pretty impressive. I don't know of anybody who does that.
I mean, it's the only way to know how to pitch people, right?
So you like your job?
I love my job.
What do you love about it?
Oh, what do I love about my job? Many things. I love the fact that you, in one phone call, can change someone's life for good. I love helping people connect with. I love helping people figure out what it is that they want and helping them connect with that. I love finding a piece of material and calling someone like you and be like, hey, so I have this actor that you should read for this. And you're like, no, they're not right. I'm like, yeah, but I think they are. And this is why I think they are. And you're like, okay, well, sure, we see them. And you see them and you book the job, That has happened to me multiple times.
Why do you think people listen to you?
Why
do you think I listen to you?
Because you know that I don't just push people just for pushing sake. I do it because I listen to what you say you want. Even if you don't know the actor, I will tell you why I think they're right, and if there's even a fit somewhere, you're like, sure. But I only do it. I only do it when I know that I feel it very strongly, and I don't do it with you all the time. So because of that, you trust the fact that I won't just push a million people on you just to get an appointment. I do it because I feel it's the right person. Yeah.
And what do you feel like right now? What are your overall challenges as an agent, and what are your challenges now these days as the business is changing so rapidly in so many ways? And what are those changes? How do they affect you? And what are your challenges?
So what are my challenges as an agent?
Yeah.
I'm very busy. Thankfully, I have a lot of clients who are like doing really, really well. Actors, when people are doing well, then that creates more problems than it of its own, because now you want more, because now to start thinking about, okay, great, he needs his next job after this job. There are more people that, again, because personally, I love people, I love helping people, so it's hard for me to say no to represent actors, because I wish I could clone myself to represent everybody, but I'm realizing that in order for me to do a great job with people that I have to say no. So that's, for me, has been a personal challenge in figuring out how to not take on the world, because it's my tendency to want to take on the world.
So what's the answer to there's so many different platforms and outlets, and so it feels like there are more jobs. Why is it more competitive? Is it because of the name?
It's more competitive because
value that's
now. So in the past, I've been doing this I've been an agent now for 6 years. I've been total industry, I think it's 10 years. Even when I started, there were a lot of movie stars who were not doing TV. And there was a very limited number of outlets. It was just the networks, and then
HBO and
Showtime, and then FX and AMC.
Yeah.
But now, everyone is in the original programming game. But in order for people for their programs to rise to the top, they have to have somebody a draw. Obviously, there's also the focus on ethnic diversity that has sort of changed. I know, for example, on our list, we had a predominantly Caucasian heavy female list, because at the time that's where most of the jobs were, but now we have a lot of women, unfortunately, who are struggling, and it's not just for our company. I know across the board because there were more jobs for Caucasian women in a certain demographic than there were for other ethnicities. So and one thing that when I became an agent, one of the things that I really fought for was to just have more people that, and not just pretty people, just people that look normal, because that's the world is not a homogenized, everyone doesn't look the same. So part of the changing landscape is there's a shift towards the ethnic diversity, and now there's a focus now on LGBTQI actors and trans actors, which wasn't a thing before but now is. So what happens is there's 10 roles to be cast, a certain number of those roles have to have some type of diversity, but not just ethnic diversity. There's the sexuality part of it. There's also the trans and the non-gender. So there's just so much. There's a swirl. Then there's a push to make the world a lot more inclusive. But what makes it happen? What happens then is, if you're an actor coming up in a certain demo, it could be slower for you and busy for your friend.
Right.
So now there's everything is being consolidated. Fox just bought Disney. No, Disney, vice versa. Disney just bought Fox, which has eliminated a whole slew of jobs. The challenge also is to sort of stay in the game and just stay on top of what's happening, and try to figure out ways to change with the times. And I mean, personally, I'm very into personal development, so I'm always figuring out how can I work better. What am I not looking at? What's changing? How can I be different? How can I think different? So I'm always trying to figure out how to be different, and how to be better, and how to change with the times. Things that I sort of decided when I first started. I said, I'm never going to be afraid of being fired by anybody. I'm never going to be afraid of talking to anybody. I was always going to keep my heart open, and I was always going to do it afraid, basically. And
that's not usual, though.
I know. I know.
Although I'm sure people, if they stop to think and actually make those claims, they might find that. But
I mean, it's just something that I don't know. I'm just me.
Yeah.
And it was just something I just sort of determined early is that this is things that I am not going to do. And it seeps into how I sign people. Like, I don't sign people, I do sign people because I see them on things, but I go with my instinct all the time. You know, like, I go with my gut feeling a lot. I can meet an actor who has zero. You know, Risa sent this actor to me, this girl to me, she actually emailed me like herself like a few months before.
Oh, yeah.
But I just never responded. But when you called me and said, "Hey, this is actor," I'm like, "Yep, I'll meet her." And I met her.
Talking about you today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met her and I just fell in love with her. And Risa said, "You're good, and I like you, so let's do it."
Yeah.
You know, and she's been having some success, and it doesn't mean that doesn't come with its own set of challenges, but I go with my heart all the time. Yes.
What do you look for in an actor when you're looking to sign somebody new, aside from
Yes.
knowing that they're going to check
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
different diversity
Different
boxes when that's necessary? But if they're not, if they don't check those boxes,
Yeah.
what do you look for, and how do you want to see
Yeah.
that? How do you evaluate that, or how do you consider that?
So I sort of decided again that I want to represent actors who can be leads of TV shows, plays, movies, whatever. I want to represent lead actors. And
What does lead mean to you? What does that mean?
somebody who has the ability to carry a show, or carry a film, carry a play, could be number one on the call sheet. Somebody who has the ability to be a leader, and it's not a look for me. It's going to sound weird, but it's an energy. That's sort of what I decided that I wanted to. So whenever I meet an actor, that's sort of the first thing I always think about is, do they have that energy to be a lead of something? And it's not something that you put on, it's just something that you are. Now it doesn't mean that you can't be the lead. It doesn't mean that you can't grow into a leading role, but I still think that there's still something, like there's an intensity in someone that I'm an intense guy. And when I meet somebody who has sort of that intensity, my heart immediately just like connects to the person, regardless of what they look like. So it's for me, like one of the synergy is one of my words that I use a lot. Is I believe in synergy. Like, look, I could meet you, I could see you do like this great TV show, and I'd be like, you know what? And everyone might be chasing you down, but I'm like, you know what? I can't do for her what I know she needs. You know, so I won't sign you because I don't think you're talented, but I'm like, I am not your person. You know, I feel it's a disservice for me to sign you as an actor and not bring my 100% to you because I expect you to bring your 100% to me. You should always, I tell my who I work with, you should go in there and bring 100% of what your interpretation of what that role is. Bring it in there, and if that's it in the room, they're gonna be like, yeah, that's our girl. Or if you do something different and unique and authentically you, it's gonna stick with the casting person. And even if not for that role, they're like, you know what? There's another role she's right for coming up. We're gonna get her for that one. People buy you. People decide, do I want to talk to this person every day? Do I want to spend time on the phone with her? Do I want to? Is this somebody that I can get behind, calling on the phone, calling Risa, hey Risa, this is girl, she's amazing, blah 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 blah, and then I know when she goes into the room, she's going to bring her authentic self to the room. If I can't say that, then I don't want to fuck with you. I mean,
yeah, but I can, yeah.
I mean.
But it has to do with showing up. It has to do with showing up fully and knowing who you are and what you can bring. And then it's a fit or it's not a fit. But making yourself small or invisible or fitting in a box or generalizing your talent doesn't serve you.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I meet a new actor, I always try to disarm them, because you come into my office like, oh my gosh, let's meet this guy, and I'm like, hey, make you at ease. We'll talk about I'll make a joke about myself and something self-deprecating, per usual, or just something to make you laugh and just be, or I'll ask you about I don't know, what you had for dinner last night, or I'll make a joke about something, and then just because I want to see who you really are, not who you think I want you to be.
How do you meet new actors, and how do you want actors to reach out to you? What kind of reaching out does speak to you before you actually get a chance to sit down and feel them out? Yeah.
If a referral, somebody that I trust, like Risa, calls me and say, hey, you got to be this actor, I'm like, absolutely, I will.
And we've had a couple of mishaps on that, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's also a time in terms of right now I've been traveling a lot. By July 10, I would have flown 800,000 miles this year.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And that's to see clients.
Clients and obviously my vacation that I took as well. But I would have flown. I've been in New York 6-7 times already this year. I leave for Australia on Saturday to go visit a client. I'm there till I fly back on the 25th. And the next day I leave for New York to go see a couple of plays, and then when I'm in New York, I'm going to Toronto to go visit a client on the set. I'm going to fly back for the closing night of the client's play, flying back July 1st to LA. Then I'm going to Malta on July 5th for a friend's birthday, and back on July 10th. So that's sort of so people are like, hey, can we hang out? Or can you meet this actor? I'm like, I'm not available until July 14th. So that's
exhausting.
It's exhausting. Yeah. So that's sometimes again I want to meet everybody, but I'm trying to also have a personal life, because for the first 6-7 years I just worked. I didn't care about dating or friends or family. I just worked. That's all I cared about. And so I've really been working to have a real life, because you know what? When everybody's at home, when you're on set, enjoying your series regular role, you're shooting that film, or you're doing and I'm at home by myself,
Checking your Twitter, DMs.
And there's nobody there, it's all this.
I think that speaks, though, also, I love that you said that, not that you didn't have anybody to call, and you could always call me, but DM me on whatever that is. But it speaks to the balance between being incredibly diligent and hardworking, which I advocate for, and that's a lot of your success, is you are absolutely committed and hardworking and diligent, that and having a life. And it's so important to have that balance, to have pets and family and mates and other interests and other ways to express yourself creatively, and downtime, but also that balanced with the incredible hard work. And we'll talk about, as we go through these 8 weeks, what hard work really looks like, how you show up, how you are responsible to your life, your career, your acting. But it is a dance.
It is a dance.
Yeah. So I want to go back to meeting actors and do people and how people approach you. What's the most successful way for that? Not that these guys are going to hound you, but the fact is what makes sense? What works these days?
I mean, because I also work I don't work for myself. I work for a company. There's a process in signing actors at the company, which I occasionally buck. I get in trouble. Now they don't bother me as much. But if you're 25 and under, and I meet you, and I'm like, I want to sign you, then I'll just do it. They don't give me as much fuck anymore. But if you're older than that, I have to go through a committee. They're gonna want to see what your resume is, what you've done.
Why is that? Why is that 25? Because it's an experiment under.
Yeah, because most 25-year-olds are still trying to figure out their place in the industry. Unfortunately, in our industry, there's this whole age thing which drives me up the fucking wall. Because you know what, you arrive when you arrive. That's, you know, I read this article the other day about Risa Horn, the girl who on Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul.
She auditioned for 10 years. 10 years before she got Saul. Doing like little tiny jobs here and then until she got a big break. I mean, I read an actor who is in her 40s, and I mean she did some work, but it was when she met me that she really, I mean, I'm not taking the credit for her, but when I met her, I just realized how she and I just connected on a level. I'm like, I'm gonna be your guy. And I started going after jobs for her, and now she's one I'm going to go visit in Australia, and you know she's Julianne Emery. You know she was in Catch-22. She was on Fargo. I called you about her to do masters. Yeah. When it comes to a certain type of actor, if you don't have like a list of credits, the company, it's hard to get you signed on a company. If you did a pilot or you did a movie or something that where you sort of stood out, then that's a little bit helpful in getting people signed. Or, which is where I encourage LA actors, there's lots of great theater in LA. I mean the Geffen, the Taper, the Kirk Douglas, we go. And like auditioning for, like doing a play at the Taper, or doing a play at the Geffen will get you seen by a lot of people. I always encourage people to get managers. You know, a great manager is better than an agent, because you want somebody who can be your advocate and who can fight for you, someone who believes in you, who will be there in the good and the bad. Sometimes I'm like, man, I really want to sign you, but I can't right now. Or I'm like, you know what? Why don't you go do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then, but let's keep talking. And
so it's not over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if someone is in that play at the Echo Theater in Atwater Village, and they're getting decent reviews and they're having a great time and they love their work, and you say, I can't leave Santa Monica, or I can't, you know, I just can't get there, what do they do next?
If they're getting good reviews, email me the reviews, and or find someone, or whoever somebody cast the play, you know, have that person call me, you know, say, hey, someone like you that I, you know, like I trust implicitly, and say, hey, Josiah, you're gonna meet this person, and I'm like, okay, but it'll be in 2 months, so when I'm back, you know, type thing. So, but you know, I spend hours like watching, like, because I'm on planes a lot, so I watch, you know, TV, I watch like random stuff on television. I like web series, you know, because I think that's a place to find people. I like people who, I think it's great when people try to create their own content, or try to do something, not wait to be. I was talking today with an attorney who represents Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is just tall. You guys know her, right? Fleabag.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, if she just waited to be cast in something, she would still be waiting to be cast. Yeah. You know, she
did her show and then went to Edinburgh, and then it became this and this and on and on.
So, and the people, you know, taking risks. I think everybody wants to find someone with a unique voice, and I think we all have like unique voices. You know, Hamilton's one of my favorite musicals, not because it's a musical, but because I feel it's a work of art, that this guy spent 7 years putting himself into this thing, and now it's this big, massive global hit because one person tapped into his creativity. You know, and I always tell people, I always, you know, I encourage myself, I always encourage people to say, go, what is that one? You have your voice. You have that thing that you have that story that only you can tell. Tell it with boldness, you know, and, you know, you don't need somebody to like give you money to do it. We all have iPhones, you know, make it on your iPhone, you know, get a bunch of friends together. And we all have friends who want to be DPs, who want to be editors, who are all trying to make it in the industry. Get together with your creative selves and like make something. I mean, most of what's on TV today because someone did that instead of just waiting to be cast in something.
Well, I love that you're saying that because we advocate for that a lot here, and we've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than the Phoebe Waller-Bridge story or the Duplass brothers story, or people who Asa Rae who just say, I'm going to make this thing because I have this voice, I have this story to tell. And you might make some bad shit for a while, but then eventually people do. I mean, and then eventually. Everyone's made something bad before they've made something good.
It's how you get better. It's like you. I mean, when I first started, I mean, I didn't grow up with like great taste. I mean, I started like learning like the things that worked and the things that didn't work, and still learning things that don't work and don't work. Even you never arrive.
So, Josiah, let me ask you this question from one of the actors here in class: do you sign actors across the board or only theatrically?
Sometimes we sign. Some of our clients, our theatrical clients, get signed by commercial departments, and then sometimes they don't. They're like, we don't have room for that type, on the roster. And sometimes the people that they would sign that were like, so that we won't sign, So but sometimes Kim Bird, like, hey Josiah, this actor. I actually always say, hey Kim. Is that commercial department? Say, if there's somebody that you think has the potential for crossover, you let me know. And she always occasionally we send someone my way. We've signed a couple of people that way through our commercial department. Unfortunately, it's like it doesn't always work that way. But when I sign people, I always sign them with the mind of when things start to go off for them. I want to cross them over to those other parts of the company.
I think also, there's an actress who's in here, and she wrote a short that she was in. She did really beautiful work as a writer and as an actor, and she also had a web series she had written and a screenplay she'd written and an okay reel otherwise in her acting, and it was easy to get managers interested in her, people who were interested in producing her stuff, and then through that, other agents got interested, but I found that managers were. But she also had a great reel based on this piece that she'd written that she was acting in, and so she had the whole package, and that was attractive to everybody. Yeah. So I think it really depends also on what your materials are, and what and then if you have that. If I were an actor and I was interested in writing and producing and directing, and an agency said, "We'll only sign you as an actor," then that could be, that might be a red flag if you wanted the other stuff.
Yeah, because I never see someone's talent as just one thing. The actor is just this. Oh, he's just an actor. She's just an actor. There's more to you. You have creative ideas in you that you want to produce. Some people end up like directing, producing stuff. I have a client who just produced a short. I have an actor who's going to direct a movie. I never see you just as an actor, because I don't think we're just one thing.
What do you say to your actors when things aren't going really well and they feel dry and frustrated? What do you tell them? When you can't get them in the room, or when they're just having a low period,
the ebbs and flows in the business, and I encourage people to go to class, to find a class to teach. One of my clients is teaching a class now, I encourage people to find a way to sharpen to stay sharp, because you never know when the call's gonna come for you to go do something, and I just, again, try to think out of the box, for them, like what can I do to help this person move forward. Sometimes it's just that there's just not the actual job audition for you to go to, because the role of the thing that you're right for is being offered to somebody. Or sometimes people are in between. You're sort of in that, sometimes people are kids growing up into adulthood, and then, or like if you're in your, I have an actor who's like going into his 40s, and he used to be this like, skinny, like good-looking guy who's now, has a couple of kids and chunky, and he looks more hipstery, and so the roles that he was going in for before, like, he's not right for those roles anymore, because based on who he is today, and so and then he's competing against people who have been doing that role for their whole career. So it's sort of challenging to try to like now sort of shift him into this new space. And so I try to look for, like, I have him going in for a play at Geffen like tomorrow, so type thing, just to sort of switch up the energy and the way people are seeing him. Also, if you're used to seeing him one way, when they call you, say, hey, Risa, this person, you're like, no, he's not right. They're like, I'm like, no, he looks like this now. And you're like, I know him, I've brought him in for years, type thing.
Never say that.
I know you wouldn't, but
Yeah, I get
but
yeah.
you know
Yeah, people need to be redefined.
What people say.
Yeah.
But I really try to work to help to partner with, but sometimes people are done thinking, like, I don't want to be an actor anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're like, I don't have the passion or the drive for that anymore. I want to do something different now. And that's also okay. And I feel sometimes it's, again, talking to the actor to sort of figure out where they are. And as an actor, she's, about to turn 50, a lot of the roles for her age group are they're they've been straight offered to people. And she's talking to, she's going to direct a movie. She now has a writing partner, and they're creating like a web series, just something to give. She was like, maybe I should go think about this directing, space. I'm like, I'm letting her explore that.
You seem so giving and open to your clients, but what makes you drop a client?
Sometimes I have to drop a client because they tell me to. They've been with the company for a few years. They've gotten lots of opportunities and no bookings, and it's also a business. You have to drop people. Drop somebody today who, for 3 years, went in on every single possible audition. No callback, no bookings for 3 years. That's sort of hard to keep justifying keeping that person in the books. Now there's some people that I just won't do because some people grow into themselves. That makes sense, and every audition they go out for, they're either gonna get pinned for it, or they're gonna book it. And so even if it's one audition every 3 months, I know that they're gonna book that. But it's that way because they don't look like you can just plug them into, like, they're not plug and play. They're very specific, but when that right role comes along, it's them.
And you believe in that?
Oh, 100%. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. I hate lazy actors very much.
Lazy?
Yes. I will not work with somebody who's lazy.
What does lazy look like to you?
Unprepared. Having to, like, rescheduling auditions multiple times. Being late. Not showing up. Or a sloppy self-tape. The world has changed so much that you don't have to get into a room. That you have this opportunity to do a great self-tape, and you're reading off the page, automatic drop. It's not acceptable. So, and that's how you can tell what somebody's work ethic is going to be. Yeah, being unprepared is like the worst thing in the world. I work my ass off. Like, ask when Risa is working on a project, ask her how many times I call her.
Many times.
Many times. And she's like, dude, stop calling me. I'm trying to cast the show. It's hard to get auditions for people, and then when you get the opportunity to go in or to tape for something and you don't do a good job on it, then what's the point? I don't want.
By a good job, you're talking about being a responsible.
Being responsible
person,
being responsible,
Yeah.
like learning the lines, being off book, because obviously self tapes you're supposed to be off book on them, and just bringing you a plus game. Because you know what, if I am giving you 100%, you owe me 100% too.
What should an actor do if they're with an agent who doesn't advocate for them?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, You need somebody in your corner who believes in you, who's going to fight for you, and who's going to like not take no for an answer. So if you're with somebody who's not fighting for you, then why are you with them? I mean, I wouldn't want to represent somebody that I'm not into, or I don't want to be with somebody who's not into me. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you answer that question?
I think it's important to have conversations with your reps, and I know some of you, and I'm not saying that's the case, but some of you don't have that kind of close relationship. You're talking about your clients like you're talking about a relationship. There's an intimacy there, and there's a trust there, and there's a real understanding, and people who are invested in each other. And I don't think that's the case for a lot of you, whether if you have a rep, so how would you change that with the people you're with, or start to think about we talked about that earlier, letting go of those people if it's not healthy, and if it's not working that way, and if it's not active. Because there's no value in that if you're afraid of them, and or if they say to you, don't call me, or this is what I do, I just submit you along with thousands of people. And whether you know it or not, many agencies, and we've certainly said that we're not going to accept submissions from people because they're not thoughtful about it. They have an assistant just do it, and suddenly 60 people come in a submission for a role, and nobody's really thought this through. The entire client list. They read, female 30s, and then every female they have between 20 and 50 is submitted, and some guys too. And so, and not guys because they think they're thinking interestingly, just guys because they're just not thinking.
Yeah.
And they have an assistant do it, and so suddenly there's a one scene guest star role in a show, and 2,000 submissions come in, and like, how do you get through that?
Also from the perspective also on the agency side, sometimes it's like if you don't submit everyone's clients, then you get in trouble for not submitting. I cover, to use you as I cover your show, I cover SEAL Team, and then if this breakdown comes out, I don't submit like Joshua's client, then he'll be like, hey, why didn't you submit her? Or the casting director goes, oh, they didn't submit her. So what I try to do is I would submit everybody that feels right, and then look at the breakdown, and then call and say, hey,
specific,
here are the few select ideas I think you should look at for this role. And just be sort of give 2 or 3 or 4 names per role and then the casting director can go look in my whole submission to see if there's anybody else that they like and choose them that way. So. And not just me, a lot of the other agents there really work at being thoughtful and intentional in talking about the clients, because it's the only way that to keep our relationship like pure and open, where you're going to be open to hearing a new idea from me, but also to service our clients properly, because if I submit you for a transgender role, you're absolutely not right for that, and that I'm doing you a disservice by submitting you for something that you're not right for.
Let's just jump for a second to this whole self-tape thing, because it's very much a new process, but a very fast-growing norm. So, what is your experience with self-taping? When does it work? When does it not work? And one first question, which is a simple one, maybe not a great one, but do you hear from casting people or executives, just have them self-tape because and what is that? Is that dismissive? Does it feel like an opportunity? What's your reaction to that? Because that happens a lot.
Usually it's dismissive.
Okay.
To just get you off the phone.
Yeah.
But I take it seriously. I read a book 2 years ago called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And it sort of changed how I view a lot of things.
Who wrote the book?
Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
And it sort of changed how I live and how I work. And so even if you're dismissive, I would see that differently. I'm like, great, it's a great opportunity? She said yes, and we're going to get this tape in.
Wow.
And I'll give you example just happened to me very recently. There's a movie with Richard Jenkins that was casting, and I read the script, and there's this role for this actor that I represent. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's perfect for this role, perfect. I emailed the casting directors, kept emailing them 3 times, no response. Hey guys, I'm following up on this. They're like, sure, he can self-tape. And my guy did a killer self-tape. I told him, they said, hey, have it due Monday? I told him due Saturday. He sent it in on Saturday. I emailed it to them right then because he crushed it. And then they emailed me back 10 minutes later saying, wow, where is he? I'm like, he's here in LA. Monday they called me and they said, hey, we're going to bring him in for a director callback. I'm like, great, tell him what you need. He went in for his callback, nailed the audition, and he booked the movie. And the casting directors called me and they were like, Josiah, thank you for not taking our silence for an answer and for not being offended by they were like, thank you for introducing us to this actor, because if not for your persistence, this guy wouldn't have this job. They're like, we had all these name actors that were up for this role, but your guy was clearly heads and above all of them.
So what was great about his self-tape? When you said he crushed it, it was killer self-tape.
It was exactly like he was balls to the wall. Like he just brought it. He's always off book, and he brought. I mean, watching it, I'm like, yep, that's what I read. Like when I read the script, he was like the embodiment of that character, and he brought that character to life for me. And that showed in himself, and it was well lit too. It was well lit. And he was wearing he picked the right clothes to wear. It was just like he stood out.
And so, what would how does that distinguish him from a not so great self-tape?
Usually bad lighting, but the lighting's bad. They're not off book. They're not really fully present in the tape. Some people use tapes as I just throw it on tape. And I'm like, no. Your self-tape is, you need to pretend like you're in the room with the casting people. Like, this is the only way that they are going to, you are presenting your version. You're saying, this is me. This is me. This is what I think I can bring with this character. You may not get another shot at that. So do not throw away your shot. Literally, that's how I see self-tapes.
From where you sit, what is the casting pitching process for pilots?
On pilots, pilots generally get casting directors quickly, unless it's a movie star that's going to be offered the role, then everybody just waits for a casting director to come on board. Obviously, there's some names that we discuss with the network before the breakdown comes out, and that gets passed on to the casting director once the director comes on board, and then they make their lists, and they already have those names on the list, and but most roles end up coming out of the casting process.
There's the casting director, then there's the agent and manager, and then there's me. And if you take your agent and manager out of the equation, not to overstep them, but just to understand that you can have relationships with casting people. You should know who they are. You should figure out what their lives are, not stalking them on Instagram, but knowing everything you can find out about them, and then figure out a way to access them and have relationships with them, because they are looking for you without you realizing it.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys use social media to use that as they're all on Twitter. And I follow a bunch of casting directors, and they're all doing ask me anything, and it's a way for them to connect with actors that wouldn't necessarily get seen or whatever. And I know people who've cast people from Twitter because they met them on Twitter or they met them on Instagram. You know, especially some of the younger casting directors that are up and coming. That's how they find.
That's where they live.
That's where they live. You know, so sort of use that as a tool, not just to like see what's happening in people's lives, but to engage. You know.
And when we talk about social media, we're going to do that in a few weeks. We'll talk about how to do that in a way that's not intrusive, but still engaging. Yeah. And please don't think that thank you for that, and that you don't have power in this, and that you don't have relationship. They're just people trying to do their job, and they need more new energy and connection, and there are ways to do that where you're not offending anybody, but you're making yourself known and being in relationship with them. And I know it's harder to advocate for yourself. In some ways, you're advocating for your clients. But there are also ways to advocate for yourself where you don't feel like you're intruding, but representing, something of value that you have to share with people. And you talk about, so you might send out, I know someone who just sent out 50 emails to agents to get represented, and he got nothing back, and he said, what do I do now? I said, so you did that, that's fine, now what's the next thing? You had the casting people for that show not respond to you for 3 emails, and he has relationships with them, and he's Josiah and blah blah blah, and that happens to me all the time. Like, people don't respond. Emails are like, I get, when I'm on a show on a pilot or something, I'll get 500 to 1,000 a day, and you can't get through them all. But then you trust the people and relationships that start to evolve over time. Where you're realizing that you're all trying to solve this thing together. You're all trying to create something and collaborate together. And you've got to start thinking of yourselves as a part of that equation and a part of that relationship.
A few years ago, I listened to this podcast about something about persistence, and this guy was like, you know what, I always email people until I get an answer.
Fuck off.
Which is sometimes the answer, but at least you got an answer, and now you know.
Yeah.
And so she said the problem is a lot of people take it personal when people don't respond, and they get offended, and so they stop. So I decided that I am not going to take anything personal, even though I do sometimes.
Sure.
But I get over it because I always, because I want that thing more than my ego or whatever that I want. So I get over myself, and I ask again until someone tells me yes or no. Because at least I know, rather than just be like, well, maybe if that one extra email, would have, gotten over the edge, And in terms of emailing agents, a lot of agencies are all referral-only agencies. So if I would recommend having someone trusted like Risa call or email about you to somebody, to like an agent or a manager. The people that tend to respond to emails like that are managers, because everyone's always looking to add to their list or looking for like a type, not a type, but like looking for, if you don't have a certain type of person in your list you want. So, I happen to read every email that comes to every pitch email, even though most people I know I'm never going to sign, but I still read and take a look at it, and sometimes I'll respond. I find them interesting enough to want to engage, but also learn to spell the names of the people right. People still misspell my name all the time.
Well,
I just delete.
You have an interestingly spelled name.
Delete. Hey, you know what? That's
your name.
If I can learn other people's names, they can sure the hell learn how to spell my name too.
Yeah. Thank you, Josiah.
Thank you. I just say. I just want to say this, that it's I know it's a tough business, and sometimes it sucks, but just keep trucking. You have to believe in who you are and your talent and what you bring, and just keep bringing your authentic selves to what you do, and one day someone will see it, and in the meantime create your own stuff. You're not untalented people. You're not just actors. You you have a resource inside you to bring out, to be creative. You know, when God made us, or whatever you believe, there's a creativity in human beings, and you can find like you can find that one thing. Like, I truly believe we all have at least one creative idea that can turn your life around. I truly believe that. You know, so do not wait for somebody to put you in the box. You create the box. Lots of examples of people who were not right, or nobody wanted to sign, who are now like big household names because they took a chance on who they are and that creative gift in them. You know, so always bet on you. Always bet on you. You know, so thank you for the opportunity to come talk to you, to come spend time with you, and thank you for entrusting me with with this, and I hope I made sense. I hope I made sense.
Not everybody's like him, but but it's also your job to help people find their humanity and to touch them, because they need that.
Yeah.
You know, and you work with other people who aren't necessarily as open and generous as you are, but you also know when they're touched by things that are human, and that's why we're all in this.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody recognizes when they're witnessing something like special. You know, no matter how cold your heart is, you know.
And that's just protective. That's just because they're either unaware or incapable. Yeah. So we come back to what's unique about you, and what is that gift you have, and just to keep cultivating that and sharing that.
Hey everyone, it's Steve. After Risa's conversation with Josiah, make sure to go back and listen to our episode, How to Get an Agent, in which we talk about what it takes to be ready for an agent or manager, how to bring value to all aspects of your career, and what real success means with or without an agent. So go ahead and listen in.
We love sharing this content with our community. We offer it 100% free, and it's our privilege to do so. If you're loving this podcast and are interested in offering something in return, go ahead and subscribe to the Acting Podcast. Then find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to your podcast, and leave us an honest rating and review. Your words will help us bring this work to even more actors and artists around the world.
Thank you so much for listening and for being here with us. We love how this community shows up for us and for each other, online and in the studio. And as a thank you to our incredible community, we want to give you an amazing free gift. It's called the Comprehensive Guide to the Perfect Self-Tape.
So all you have to do is screenshot your review, send it to theactingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you an exclusive gift of the Perfect Self-Tape Guide to take your work to the next level.
And come visit us online at thebgbstudio.com. And if you're in LA, Atlanta, or New York, jump into a class with us. We're here to get you into the kind of shape necessary to be successful.